Okay, I guess my healing story started back in 1972. I was a young woman who had moved to Minnesota with my husband, and we had a little baby daughter, and I became very sick. I was unable to lift her out of the crib or take care of her, and the doctors tried to figure out what was wrong. I was full of swelling in joints and aching and miserable, and finally they put me in the hospital and eventually decided I had rheumatoid arthritis. And so I eventually found a rheumatologist who got me on a treatment drug that was helping a lot, and I took that for several years, but it happened to be a cancer drug. So when I was diagnosed with cancer in 1997, by this time I had one of my daughters was married and the other two were in college. I had to go off that medication, so my rheumatoid arthritis just flared up incredibly during that time. The cancer treatment was harsh. It was a very aggressive cancer, and so it was very aggressive treatment, and I almost died a couple times during that year, but God pulled me through that. And my oldest daughter by that time had moved here to Somerset and was attending Victory. She called me on the phone and she said, "Mama, I know that your treatments are horrible. I know you want to be well." And the latest treatment they had offered me was a drug that had terrible side effects and was extremely expensive. So she said, "Mama, do you really truly want to be healed?" And I said, "Oh, yes." She said, "I'm going to a healing service one Saturday, and then we're going to come down and do a healing service in Gainesville, Florida," which was where we lived at that time. So she did. She went to the healing service here at Victory and then came to Florida. And we sat in church for the regular service, and the pastor called us up after the service was over. And my daughter, she's such a sweetheart, she handed me a what I think was a Kroger bag, and she said, "Mama, I'm so sorry. I was supposed to take a cloth to be anointed, and I forgot. So I had to run into the nursery." She said, "I stole this blanket and used that for the healing cloth." I looked down in the bag, and it was a receiving blanket. And I knew at that very moment that that's exactly what had prevented me from being healed. It's just like salvation. It's offered to us freely. God wants us to have it. But unless we reach out and receive it, we don't have it. And Lord, I'm just so thankful, so grateful that He told me that. I spent the next 16 years of my life with no pain, no fatigue, no stiffness, no drugs, no doctor's visits. I was totally and completely healed. Now, there was a relapse in 2020, and I ended up back in the hospital, and they re-diagnosed me as rheumatoid arthritis, but I'm not believing that. I'm believing that the devil was trying to stop me from starting a new ministry here at Victory, and he was doing his best to stop me. He didn't. We started the Branches Ministry in November of 2020, and we're still going strong and growing. And I am healthy, and I am healed.